Hi, I'm totally not named Dan, though you can call me that if you want. And since the last My Hero Academia CCG spoiler video I recorded, we've had an announcement of the release date. The game will be coming out on the 15th of November. At least in the US. Here in the UK, it's a little bit unclear because postage is a problem, but hopefully we'll get it at a rather similar time. So because of that, they've been dumping spoiler after spoiler after spoiler upon us, and I'm back with my buddy here, Linosek, in the hopes that we can get through at least some of them today.
Yes, I am indeed here.
Yeah, so this time we're going to be heading over to Tabletop Simulator to have a quick look at what's in the rival decks. So there we go, red deck, blue deck. Which one would you prefer?
Blue is the superior color.
Okay then, we're starting with Deku. You've seen him before, but quick refresher, 6 hand size, 28 health. Every attack you get to choose a zone, and if your opponent's next attack that turn matches the zone, it gets -3 speed. Also has a once per turn you can discard your hand for +10 damage on your punch attack. So big damage, but kind of hinders his ability to defend afterwards.
You do have stuff to mitigate that.
Yeah, you have a few things to mitigate that, though not quite as heavily as his old character, which could basically just negate an entire attack if he gets the right zone. Did.
Yeah.
So for this version of the character, yeah, we've got a whole bunch of different cards you can see. I've made a rough mock-up of the deck. We don't know the exact ratios though, so don't take this to be accurate card counts. First card we have is Setup Strike. I'm going to pull that out so we can get a good look at it, and you'll see this is a 4 difficulty, 3 check, +2 mid block, 3 high for 5 damage. And of course, it's a punch because it's Deku. Everything he has is a punch.
It's to be.
So its abilities are Enhance, discard 1 momentum. This attack gets +3 speed. And Enhance, your next attack this turn gets +3 speed.
I do very much like the second enhance. It's just like nice buff the first one. I mean, it is basically a one-shot EX3, but I don't know if in most situations that's going to be worth it. So it's 5 damage.
I mean, if you've not got anything better you're doing with momentum, then it's definitely worth it, but there are other options.
And
Personally,
better
though,
ones.
I just like that the bottom one sets up for the next attack to be hard to block, and it's his Setup Strike. It fits.
Yeah, which I do think is much better.
Yeah, because it's freer. And obviously having the ability now is better than having the ability later, but it's free, so it's neat.
And you can attach it to something more effective.
Yeah. Then we'll go on to Reverse Throw, which is one of his potential finishers. It's a 5 difficulty, 3 check, +3 low block, 2 mid, which is terrible speed. This is probably going to get blocked.
Yeah.
But it's a 5 damage, and it's a punch throw. So because it's a punch, he can put his +10 damage on it. Because it's a throw, half of that damage is guaranteed to go through.
I still can't think of punch throw and not think of someone growing fingers out of their knuckles.
Yeah. And your description still reminds me of Sasuke in that one battle with Naruto.
Yeah.
God, that was weird and creepy and also weirdly boring. I wasn't a fan of Naruto, but I'm sure people will hate me in the comments for that.
I watched Naruto up until the final arc when they flooded it in fillers and they just gave up.
Fair enough. This also has, if this attack deals 5 or more damage, you draw a card. So if your opponent doesn't block it, you draw. Or if you've buffed it enough that it doesn't matter that they block it, you draw. Either way is good.
It's as consistent as you want it to be.
And then the better use of momentum that we were talking about during Setup Strike, Aspiring Punch. Aspiring Punch gets +5 speed rather than +3 speed, taking it to a 10, making it basically unblockable, but only if its damage is already 10 or greater. So
which, since you're
guess
Deku,
how you're getting that? Yeah, you're Deku.
Yeah.
You can give it +10. But Deku isn't the only one who can give it +10. I quite like to run this as a finisher in my Melee N deck, my little Dragon Lolly. Because she has this ability where if she has 2 cards the same in her hand, she can, on a 4 check, reveal them and give her non-throw attack +5 damage. So given that that doesn't work for throws, I couldn't use that on Reverse Throw, so I couldn't guarantee damage, but I could come very close by giving +5 speed, making it a 10 speed punch on Aspiring Punch. So that's probably her best attack, but it's also great for Deku, and it's good in both characters for basically the same reason.
Yeah, because 10 speed 15 is very scary.
Even a 10 speed 10, which is what she makes it, is very scary. Unfortunately, this next one doesn't work anywhere near as well for her.
But I personally really like this card.
Yeah, this card is great in Deku, but it's basically useless for anybody else. This is Determined Victory Smash. It's a 5 difficulty, 3 check. It's a 5 high for 5. Has a +1 mid block, which is pretty sweet. So it's good as an attack, it's good as a block. And the nice thing is, you do get to do both with it, because its enhance is after this attack resolves, you add it to your hand, but you can only play this if its damage is 15 or greater. As in, if you've given it plus 10 with Deku.
And there are ways to do it without Deku.
There are, but they're still... You have to jump through a lot of hoops for it, and it's not worth it for just a +1 mid block, basically.
I mean, it depends on if you want to double down on the attack. I mean, potentially.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go through all those hoops and you get the attack back and it's only 5 damage, that's kind of sad.
I mean, if you've jumped through enough hoops to do it without Deku, you can play it, then drop Deku, and then play it again.
I mean, I guess if you're playing Deku and you're not using him on it, but...
It is still, like, it's at least a 2-card combo to set that up.
Yeah, that's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Velocity Punch.
Yeah, Velocity Punch, we finally have a good image of. And this is just a 4/4 low for 4, recheck, +3 low block, and it lets you add a foundation from your stage to your momentum, which sets up for Aspiring Punch.
So it's good
or
for
if you really want your setup strike, but mostly Aspiring Punch.
Yeah. It's good for if you like need to get the damage down now because if you're in a losing position.
Yeah, if you absolutely need to have that plus speed on the Aspiring Punch, then this gives you the momentum to use it right away. Really lets you force that through. But otherwise, it's just a mediocre attack, really.
On-demand momentum gain's never bad.
I mean, Delaware Smash over here has the same speed, same difficulty, actually a better block, and it's +2 damage. The only difference is you don't get the momentum, and you in fact skip the enhanced step.
Flash.
Yeah. Skipper of the enhanced step.
I always find them weird to evaluate.
Yeah, flash attacks, neither of you gets abilities during them. That's drawback, but it's also gain. And this is basically just, it's going through as a 4 speed, and there's nothing your opponent can do about that. If they can block a 4 speed, sucks to be you. If they can't block a 4 speed, sucks to be them.
It's useful to drop it when your opponent's got like 2 or 3 cards in the card pool already to make the progressive harder, but...
Well, it's also it's a really efficient attack, this. It's 6 damage on 4 difficulties. That, I think, is the main thing. But yeah, it comes with the downside of you can't discard your hand on it, because you can't do any enhances on it.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
It's useful if you've run out of steam, because then it's just, you don't lose out on anything.
Yeah. Also a 4 difficulty, and actually statistically worse than either of the other two. We got Future Charge, which, 4 difficulty, 3 check, 3 mid speed, 2 high block, and 4 damage.
So not great raw stats.
But what is nice about this one is it's got enhanced draw a card for each copy of Future Charge in your card pool. So normally that would be up to 4 cards if you've got all 4 copies of Future Charge. But you can also use it with Avel Twin Blade Swordsmanship if you're in Standard, which commits to give a card multiple if it's got printed damage of 4 or less. Multiple lets you use one of your momentum to copy this attack. So
and
you
it
can
keeps the name.
Yeah, it doesn't keep the ability or anything in the text box, so the multiple copy is not a punch, but it is a Future Charge, and therefore, on this one, it'll see the copy, and you'll get an extra card. And then Twin Blade Swordsmanship also gives you an extra card when you use the ability. So, it's a very silly combo.
Yeah, just put all those cards you're going to inevitably end up discarding.
Yeah, if you get 4 of each, you can theoretically get a 12-card draw on one of the attacks.
Let's be honest, if you've got the foundations to pass that, the game's been going on way too long. Probably in deadlock, and that's not good.
Oh yeah, but it's funny still. Moving on, we'll have a look at Planning Ahead. This is a 3 difficulty, 5 check, +3 high block. It's not the best stats, but it commits, names an attack zone. If you match the attack zone, it gives your rival's next attack this turn -5 damage.
So it's like a mini version of old Deku.
Yeah. And it interacts interestingly with the minus speed, so you can say such and such a zone will get minus damage, such and such a zone will get minus speed, and they've got to guess which one's more important to you.
Or try and go for the other one.
Yeah, but at that point, you've just baited them into going for whatever zone you want them to.
Yeah.
So yeah, mind games, basically.
Which is very Deku.
It has the potential to be quite good, but it's still not as wonderful as the -10, and you've got to play a 3 difficulty foundation for it, so I think it's alright.
And again, you can have multiple copies of it.
Yeah, I suppose. Then we got Gift from Mom. Discard a momentum, your punch attack gets +3 damage. This is on a 2 difficulty, 5 check foundation with a 2 mid block. So yeah, the stats are decent, but it's basically every attack you can give it +3 damage if you discard a momentum. So if you've got a lot of momentum, that's a huge deal. It also means that at the cost of a foundation, your velocity punch is now 4/7, making it potentially better than Delaware Smash, which is neat.
Yeah, I've still spent momentum that you could have used on something else.
Well, no,
But
you
if
spend
you
the
want the
velocity punch to
immediate-
gain the momentum, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to get the damage down immediately.
Yeah, there are better uses for your momentum than Gift from Mom, but at the same time, if you have momentum to spare, it's definitely a good outlet for it.
Yeah.
It will give you a lot of benefit.
Just getting like a bunch of momentum and not having a way to spend it is always frustrating.
And then we've got Good Impression. Well, especially in this smaller deck format, actually, where you want extra cards in your discard pile so that you got more cards in your deck when you cycle. So sometimes you actually want cards out your momentum just to stop you from milling yourself. But yeah, next up we have Good Impression, which is a 2 difficulty 5 check, +3 high. Flip, your next punch attack gets -1 difficulty.
Ways to reduce difficulty are always nice.
Yeah, it makes up for one lot of progressives, and it doesn't commit for the effect, so it's not
So it's
negating the
better
game.
for going in this turn, but not as good for like a not drawing thing. Deku is very much about going in this turn.
Yeah, I think it works for him. I don't think it's an amazing foundation, but it's definitely alright.
Yeah.
And then Recovery Girl's Kiss, which is just flip, gain 1 health, but it's on a 0 difficulty 5 check, +2 mid block. So nice stats, ability is air, whatever.
I do think that could have
in
potentially
combination,
been a 6 check.
Yeah, it definitely could have. But that in combination with encouraging training partner means you can gain a whole bunch of health at once in either Deku or Ochiko, or for that matter, any of their relatives, if they also happen to exist, being named Midoriya or Uraraka, because those are the family names of both characters.
Oh boy. Now I'm imagining Deku's.
Yeah, Inko.
She's great.
Yeah, but what would she do in the card game?
I don't know. I think she does have a quirk. I don't remember what it is, like controlling water or something.
Yeah, no, her quirk is a small level telekinesis solely bringing things towards her.
Okay.
Which is why one of the ridiculous fan theories is that Deku does in fact have a quirk, and it's a combination of his dad's fire breathing and her attracting objects. He just attracts hot people.
The power to be an anime protagonist.
Yeah, it's horribly non-canon, but it is at least funny.
I love the idea.
So next up we have Self-Sacrifice, which is a beautiful shot of Deku floating above the city from his entrance exam. And this is
in extortionate amounts of pain.
Quite possibly no. Certainly in my experience, you don't feel that kind of injury for half an hour.
Okay, I'm curious as to why you have experience with that, but I don't think I want to know.
I would show you, but my scars don't show up very well on camera for some reason.
Oof. This got heavy.
Yeah, I think we should move on from that. Enhance, destroy 1 foundation. This attack gets +1 on -1 damage. So, great stats. That's a heavy cost for that ability.
Yeah.
But if you are going all in, this will do the job.
Like,
this is actually going to be a lot better in an upcoming character. And it would probably also be better if it shared symbols with Bakugo. Because Bakugo wants to do that kind of thing already. But then maybe he's already destroying too many foundations.
Yeah. At least it can destroy committed foundations, so you don't necessarily sabotage this turn.
Yeah. But even so, it's basically just making Deku a worse version of Bakugo.
Yeah.
Although with a little more defensive option, which maybe keeps him alive long enough to throw his hands at people again.
Well, now I'm imagining him detaching his hands like Rayman.
Oh, that'd be good as well. Although Rayman doesn't... I know Rayman does throw his hands at people. He just half the time also throws energy balls at people.
Yeah.
So what else we got? We got Passing the Torch.
I love this
Difficulty
card.
5 check, +3 mid. If you've played any UniVersus in the last year or so, you've seen this card. This card is played in every deck with these symbols because it just commits to draw a card at no cost beyond that. No restrictions on it. And if you have no cards in hand, you get 2 even.
I love that card.
So this is just way more efficient card draw than anything else in Standard. And it's a wonderful card, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's even better in Deku because he's discarding his hand.
So you get a couple of these out, and then suddenly, I basically just didn't pay a cost.
I mean, if you really need to draw a specific card to block with, you can discard your hand during your opponent's attack, not get the +10 damage because it's not your punch. and then just use passing the torch to draw 2 rather than 1.
So he's got some fun, specific interactions.
Exactly. Then we got another 1/5, nice stats, +2 low block, note taking, flip to give you a punch attack +2 speed. Nice if you want to force some damage through. Not much use for anything else. And basically, the main time you want to be using this, as far as I can tell, is if you want to finish off, but you haven't drawn your aspiring punch or you don't have the momentum for it. This is a slightly worse speed buff, but it at least helps you get your attack in.
Just once again, Mark going all in.
Yeah, and then you can always, because it's just a flipped foundation, you've not destroyed it or anything, you can then destroy it to self-sacrifice if you need that 1 extra damage.
So it's just like low efficiency, all-in effects, really.
Yeah. And then less all-in, we have rigorous training. If you manage to survive your opponent's turn, you can play this and start healing up. It's not the best, but when you need it, it's quite nice to have that +2 health.
And once it hits, it's basically blank, so you don't really lose anything from destroying it.
Yeah, so it'd probably be better in Bakugo in a weird way.
Yeah, all comes back to that.
Yeah, everything always comes back to Bakugo in these discussions. Bakugo is a great character card.
Yeah.
And then Bonds of Friendship, the only one here that checks a 6. This is a +1 high block, and it's a 1 difficulty.
So
Flip
very
to give
nice
a Fury
stats.
attack -3 damage. So outside of these rival decks, that's going to be quite niche because it only affects Fury. But inside of them,
still very nice stats.
inside of them, that hoses Bakugo quite nicely. And yeah, I actually run it in that melee end deck I was talking about just because it has such good stats. So those are all the different cards we have in Deku. I'm going to just, I don't know, move some of these out the way a bit.
So we can talk about Bakugo.
Yeah. Explodey boy.
What's his name? Yeah, Punch Explosion. I don't remember.
King Explosion Murder Death, I think it was.
Probably.
Although he had to change it to Lord because King was a bit much. So what do we have in him? Okay, first up we got Instant Explosive Release, a 3 difficulty, 3 check attack. So a very easy to play attack. Because none of the checks in this are less than 3, that's never going to fail unless you're playing it as 2nd, 3rd, 4th, whatever card of the turn. +3 mid block though, so not great there. And only 3 high for 3 damage, so not the best of stats. And you'll see the artwork in that. Very specific pose, quite reminiscent of Balanced Fighter over here. Balanced Fighter, coincidentally, also working quite nicely with Deku if you can somehow play him off any of those symbols, but he doesn't share any of them, so that's just a coincidence that doesn't really matter. Let's get that out of here.
Be gone.
So, Instant Explosive Release. Its first enhance is add this attack to your momentum after it resolves, so you get it out of your card pool, which is neat, but it's only playable if the first attack you played this turn dealt damage.
In Bakugo, it's not that difficult to like bait people into like not blocking, because if they do block, you just clear your card pool.
Yeah, so you definitely can get your first attack through in Bakugo a lot of the time, if you can convince them that maybe there's a bigger attack coming if they block it.
And then if they don't block it, you get momentum, so there will be a bigger attack coming.
Potentially, yes, but that'll be on a later turn, or at least it would be if you didn't gain the momentum from this card. That's where this comes in. And then if this deals damage, your next attack gets +2 damage, so they're going to want to block this as well, potentially.
It never feels good when you're pressured into blocking a 3 damage attack.
No. Of course, there was that Fury attack gets -3 damage in the Deku deck, which is going to completely ruin this one. But then I guess Bakugo just destroys one of his foundations, gives it +2 damage, deals only 2 damage with this, effect still goes off.
And then it hurts even more because you're having to block a 2.
Exactly. So yeah, fun stuff you can do with that one.
Yeah.
Then we have Howitzer Impact, which is if you destroy a foundation this turn, it gets -2 difficulty. So it goes from being a 6 to a 4.
Which is very good.
Yeah, because then you've got a 4, 6, and a 4, which is the same as Delaware Smash. But unlike Delaware Smash, A, it's got a better block, it's got a +1 high. B, it's got a better zone, it's a low. And C, you can play abilities during it. In fact, you can even play its own ability, which is to destroy a foundation for +2 speed. So this can potentially be, well, including Bakugo's ability, this can potentially be a 6, 8 for 4.
Which is terrifying.
I mean, you do have to destroy foundations for that, but you're Bakugo.
But it is,
to do that.
That is still very scary.
Yeah.
You also got cards that work off of having stuff destroyed during your turn, like...
Yeah, you wanted to talk about this one, the Shungoku Satsu, which Bakugo can't do the evil part, but he can do commit if you destroy a foundation during this enhanced step. Your next attack gets +2 speed and +2 damage.
Which makes it even scarier because you've just destroyed 2 foundations
So not
to get
only is
+2
this
speed and +2 damage.
Well, you do that on the
Yeah.
You destroy a foundation to Bakugo during the previous attack. You make this a 4, and then you give it the +2/+2 from that. So after all the effects are said and done, you've destroyed 3 foundations and committed 1. So I guess you probably destroyed the one that you committed.
Yeah.
To turn this into a 8/10 or 4.
Which is, yeah.
So yeah, that's dealing 10 damage.
Which is painful.
Obviously, it's not going to do that in the rival decks because we don't have Shungoku Satsu in there, but if you ever play Standard with this character, it's definitely a card worth considering.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. And then, let's go with the Signature Right Swing next. This is Bakugo's opening attack. It's mentioned many times being how he opens up during his fights in the show. So I love that we actually got the name Signature Right Swing on there. And I love that we got it on this card, because this card, it's a 4 difficulty. So he can potentially play it on his first turn going second, as long as he checks well or commits his character. And it has enhanced discard 2 cards, draw 2 cards. So it's really good at filtering his hand if he needs to draw something different.
If somehow after you mulligan you still don't have good foundations.
Exactly. So this is a great card in Bakugo that he could potentially even be playing on his turn 1. And will certainly almost always open up his attack turns with, because it helps him get the cards he needs. And also it helps him discard his burst speed to deal that extra health loss. And stats-wise, it's a 3 high for 4. It's not amazing stats-wise, but it's got a nice +1 low block. And just, it's a really good ability.
Yeah. Cycle's always useful.
Then we got his finisher, his Blast Rush Turbo, which is a 5 difficulty, 3 check, 4 low for 5, +3 high block, which isn't very good, but you can't have everything.
Nah.
Enhanced discard 1 momentum, so it's one of the few uses of momentum in this deck. This attack gets +1 damage for each Fury attack in your discard pile. Which,
that gets really ridiculous really quickly.
It can be up to 20-something.
Downside, it's not that fast.
Yeah, downside, this is only reasonably fast, but then you can get a little extra speed off the bottom enhance, which is if you discarded a card from your card pool this combat phase, which there's a good chance you will have done because you're Bakugo, anytime your stuff's blocked, you discard it. This attack gets +1 speed and +3 damage. Plus, if you're not discarding it by blocking, there is also encouragement, yep, which you can flip to discard an unblocked attack.
So you are sacrificing future momentum, but...
Yeah, but Bakugo doesn't need much momentum.
Yeah.
His 2 uses of momentum are Blast Rush Turbo and capabilities. And capabilities, because it commits, can only really be used once per turn, so he'll never be using more than 2 momentum in a turn. And this gives his Fury attack +2 speed and +5 damage.
It's a big boost.
Yep, it's very similar to an old card that I really liked back in the day, Prototype, which was a 3 difficulty, 5 check, unique, which actually had to destroy for it, but gave +3 speed and +6 damage. So it was slightly better bonuses, but this one actually has the potential to block. It commits rather than destroying, so you can still destroy it to Bakugo's effect for +2 extra damage, or just keep it for the next turn. And it's not unique, so you can run multiple copies of capabilities. You can even use more than one on the same attack if you want.
If you just want to make very, very sure this thing hits.
Yeah, and that it hits for a huge amount of damage.
Oh, yeah.
Capabilities is definitely the better of the 2 cards, and it's a great card for Bakugo. A great outlet for his momentum as well. Getting back to his attacks, though, we also have Monster Blast, which, yeah, I get that it's a monstrous amount of firepower that he's putting out, but it also just sounds like he's blasting monsters at you, which just sounds silly.
There's definitely someone with a quirk there. That has to be.
Oh, there absolutely must be. But yeah, I find this one quite peculiar name-wise. But it's a 4/4 for 4 in the mid-zone. It's 3 check, +3 mid-block, so okay, not great block. But everything else is reasonable about it. It's a Charge Fury range, so it works with a lot of people's kit. And enhance if the next attack you play this turn is a low attack, destroy 1 rival foundation.
That's a pretty mean effect.
And the timing on that is wonky. They have to cancel that effect when you declare it, not when you play the attack. When you play the attack, it's already too late for them to cancel the ability.
Yeah. All these Bakugo cards that depend on next zone, like, very much play into Deku, which is...
Yes, they do.
It's an interesting dynamic for the rival decks.
Yeah, there is one exception, which is Point Blank Incineration here. If the next attack you play this turn is a mid-attack, it gets +3 speed. Deku says it gets -3 speed, the 2 cancel out. It doesn't really play into anything. And it's just a way to trick Deku into wasting his minus speed on your mid zone, and then you play a different zone, potentially.
So the mind games just keep getting deeper.
Yeah. And this one, it is a 5 difficulty, but it also stuns your opponent, so they commit a foundation. And it's a 3 mid for 6. So, I mean, it's alright. It's not absolutely amazing, but it works alright.
It does just kind of feel like a less effective setup strike.
Potentially.
It does have better like attack stats, but...
And then long-lasting explosions, the final one of those choose a zone mind-gamey attacks. It's a 5 difficulty, 5 mid for 6, so nice speed on that. Takes a 3 like all the other attacks, plus 2 mid block, charge, fury, and if the next attack you play this turn is a high attack, it gets plus 3 speed. If it's a mid attack, it gets plus 3 damage. So has 2 different options, and your opponent has to guess which one you're going with. And then you just play a low anyway, just to mess with them.
The mates.
So yeah, some very interesting stuff in Bakugo's kit there. We then have basically the same card as...
The Signature Right Swing.
Signature Right Swing, yep.
Just on a foundation.
This is latent skill. It's a 2 difficulty, plus 2 high block, 5 check, flips to discard 2 cards, draw 2 cards. So again, because that's an enhance, it works with burst speed here, which in turn also potentially works with Mitsuki Bakugo, because it only cares about the family name.
I want that to happen.
And it's just a really nice filter your hand ability again. So yeah, make sure you have more attacks during your attack turn. And if you don't have the burst speed, there is also aggressive temper, which is similar, but rather than giving -2 health to your opponent, it gives plus 2 damage to your attack.
So it's worse.
So yeah, it's worse in that it's more blockable. But the upside is that unlike burst speed, yeah, it can be played outside Bakugo and Mitsuki, but also it can actually kill. Because the thing about burst speed is that 2 health loss cannot be lethal, whereas this 2 damage absolutely can.
So in most situations, burst speed's going to be better, but there will be...
Yeah, there will be the odd situation here and there where aggressive temper does the job.
Yeah.
Then Arrogant Disposition, just enhance commit, this punch attack gets -3 speed. Very similar to one of Deku's abilities. Nice that it checks a 6. Nice that it blocks low on a 2. It's an all-round good stats card, but it's niche in its use outside of that. Agitation, response commit, after your fury attack is blocked, draw a card. So just any time your opponent blocks, you can respond. It's sort of similar to Maximum Rhythm, but Maximum Rhythm gives you the ability to choose whether it's blocked or not blocked, but you also have to predict which it's going to be because these are enhances. Whereas this responds to the actual block and you can just keep it ready until you need it.
You can also use it to pressure people into not blocking.
Yeah, just showing that it's there, you can be like, hey, do you want me to have that extra card? No? Then don't block this attack. And then you use encouragement to discard it from your card pool anyway.
Yeah, anyway. I'm in danger.
Yep, then we have the most Ralph from The Simpsons cards I've ever come across. This is in danger. It's a 0 difficulty foundation, which is pretty sweet. Plus 3 mid block though, so it doesn't block well. Enhance Destroy. If this attack's damage is equal to or greater than your current health, it gets -3 speed. So initially I thought that was great, but I now realize that -3 speed does not stop Ida's attacks. It does not stop things like Aspiring Punch. Ultimately, it doesn't do the things that Bakugo needs it to do. So I think this is more useful for being a 0 difficulty foundation than for its actual effect, sadly.
You can just like leave it in your card pool until you need it.
In your stage, but yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have Let's Fight Bad Guys, which is flip for +2 speed. So yeah, it just forces things through a bit. Makes your howitzer impact more ridiculous, potentially.
And leaves more stuff to blow up.
Yeah, because it's a flip, it leaves you more stuff that you can blow up, which is neat. And I believe that's everything.
I believe we might have skipped over one attack.
Okay, well, if you want to have
one that cares about momentum.
Look, I think you'll find that was the Blast Rush Turbo that we talked about.
No, cares about your opponent's momentum.
Exploding Pride, yes. Exploding Pride is a good one.
Yeah.
Exploding Pride is enhance your rival loses 1 health for each card of their momentum. This effect cannot reduce them below 1 health, which, could be great in certain matchups, but Deku doesn't generate a ton of momentum, so I don't think it's that great in this particular matchup. So it's going to be a lot better outside of the rival decks. And also, if this attack is blocked, discard all cards from your rival's momentum.
That is a nice
two of those, that's very similar to Tira's Bleak Concerto Finale, which is a 5 difficulty 2 check. Jeez, so that's not fun stats to deal with. though it does block significantly better than Exploding Pride.
Yeah.
Here it says, your opponent discards their entire momentum and loses 1 vitality for each momentum discarded this way. Vitality being the old name for health.
Yeah, and this can kill.
Yeah, so Bleak Concerto Finale can kill, but Exploding Pride does not. Exploding Pride also has a lot less base damage, 3 compared to this one's 6. But even so, it's a 4 difficulty rather than a 5 difficulty.
And it's not a 2 check.
Yeah, not being a 2 check is a big deal.
Yeah.
So personally, I like to liken that ability to a card from the 3rd set in the game, the first Soul Calibur 3 set, Soul Reprisal, or Reprisal if you prefer. This was an action that made both players discard their momentum and lose vitality or health equal to it. Again, a 2 check, so I guess this is the kind of ability that they don't normally put on nice 3 checks, so Exploding Pride is a little bit special. Bear that in mind, this is a powerful ability. Certainly situationally.
It's basically free damage.
So yeah,
Look, it is unsimple for Tira, so it might end up seeing some shenanigans with that.
True. And it's Fury, which a lot of her cards like.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is Bakugo and Deku's rival decks. Hope you like seeing them, and maybe, if you're lucky, I'll upload some footage from our test game later. In the meantime, check us out on Tuesdays at 8 PM BST on Twitch, link in the description down below, where we stream all our tests of various different My Hero Academia spoiled cards, and you'll get our first look at new ones as well. Catch you then, everyone.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye.